Hello and welcome to Healthy Bites. My name's Dr. Ron Ehrlich. This is a new segment for this year where we are going to have a short episode which highlights either the podcast of the week, a past podcast, or a story that has come up that I felt I wanted to share with you. I wanted it to be positive. I wanted it to be uplifting. I think this is a really important part of our weekly routine to try to do just that. So I hope you enjoy Healthy Bites. Hi, Dr. Ron Ehrlich here. This week's episode, we explore sleep-wrecked kids. Now, to anybody that has had a child, you will know that it alters your life in many, many ways. But in those early weeks, in those early months, perhaps even in those early years, the overwhelming thing that changes is your ability to sleep, because your child isn't sleeping through the night from the time it is born. In fact, it wakes up usually every 3 or 4 hours for a feed, sometimes more. And it often surprises me how bad this sleeping pattern can go on for years and years and years and affect people's health, both mentally and physically. I had one patient who had not slept, had a 4-year-old child, and had not slept for more than 2 hours in that 4-year period. So that has a dramatic effect on not only the child's well-being, but the individual parent well-being, and of course the effect that has on the family dynamic and the relationship is quite profound. Now, this is the theme I've explored before, and we had a great episode with Karen Faulkner from Nurture Parenting, a toddler and sleep behavioural consultant, and in this episode with speech pathologist Sharon Moore, who has written a great book called Sleep-Wrecked Kids. Sharon gives us some great insights into the problems and some of the strategies that are involved, and it's another great resource. But it kind of highlights the very subject of sleep from a very early age. And I know in my own family, and now of course I've got my daughters are 34 and 30, each with their own children. And I remember when my older daughter was born, the paediatrician said to us as new parents, the thing you have to teach your child in the first year of life is to sleep. And we thought that was a rather bizarre thing to be telling us. And in retrospect, it was probably the best advice that any doctor has ever given us. Me as an individual and us as a couple, because the importance of sleep is a theme that is a really big focus of the Unstressed podcast and my book and all my wellness programs. So that advice to teach your child to sleep has incredible repercussions for the child's well-being and you as a parent's well-being and your whole family and relationship dynamics. So this is a really important topic, and there are just so many issues that go into it. Like why wouldn't a child sleep well? What constitutes sleeping well in the first place? Why breathing is just so important? Why mouth breathing versus nasal breathing has implications? I mean, this is a topic that we explore and will keep coming back to. But this episode on sleep-wrecked kids and this focus and emphasis on getting into a good sleep routine and providing you with some resources and connections that you can draw on. I mean, at the time that I was parenting, we had a book or two which we could reference. But now, of course, the information there is incredible. The resources are incredible. But getting the right information is the key, as is the case with so much of this overwhelming information. What we're trying to do on this podcast and in my work is to build advice on experience. The advice that you're getting is built on experience and backed by science. So that's a theme that is also important in the information that you'll hear on my podcast. So this week's episode, Sleep Wreck Kids with Sharon Moore, was just fantastic. Building on that program that I did with Karen Faulkner on nurture parenting, and a theme that we will be exploring, coming back to sleeping and breathing and looking at it from different angles. I hope you find it interesting and informative, and I hope this finds you well. Until next time, this is Dr. Ron Ehrlich. Be well. This podcast provides general information and discussion about medicine, health, and related subjects. The content is not intended and should not be construed as medical advice or as a substitute for care by a qualified medical practitioner. If you or any other person has a medical concern, he or she should consult with an appropriately qualified medical practitioner. Guests who speak in this podcast express their own opinions, experiences, and conclusions.